What is up, YouTube? This is Rancet4, and welcome to an updated deck profile of the Ritual Beast deck profile. And as you can tell, we are updating it for the CROS Souls that just recently got released. And although I did manage to trade for some of the cards I need and got some good for myself, I still have a lot of cards I need to get for not only this deck, but for my other decks like Infernoids, Raptors, and some other cards. So without delaying the inevitable, we're going to go ahead and jump to the deck profile. So to start off the countdown, we're going to start off with the Tamers. We want 3 copies of Ritual Beast. Oh, sorry. One of my cards fell. Whoops. We want 3 copies of Ritual Beast Tamer Elder. For those who do not know what this card does, he's basically the type of monster where when you normal summon this card, you can normal summon another Ritual Beast to your side field, which can also include himself. This allows you to get access to rank 2 plays, which unfortunately we do not run, but it also allows you to get to some of your combo pieces much faster. And the 2 monsters you're most going to be using this is either Rempengu or Cannahawk. Look, you want to open up with either of those cards. Now this card is also a decent card in the late game, but he's much better if you open up him in the beginning of the game so you can normal summon and go for your pluses and combos. Then next up, we want 2 Ritual Beast Tamer Wen. In my opinion, the second best Tamer of all the Tamers, including the new ones, simply because I like her fact that she can target a banished Ritual Beast so you can special summon to your side of the field. Now, at the beginning, she's not a bad card, but at the late game, she's much better, and I would rather use her mostly game than I do with the other card. And speaking of the other Tamers, we want 1 copy of Lara. Now before I actually ran 2 copies of Lara because in my opinion she's honestly the worst of the Tamers, because although her effect is pretty nice that she can target Ritual Beast in the graveyard and special summon it, it's unfortunately not that good against every deck in the metagame, especially against Infernos where they can simply banish it so you cannot summon it to your field. Plus, it's not that great against most matchups, so instead I would rather banish her and use her later in the game. But speaking of that, we want a new addition to the family. We want Ritual Beast Tamer Zefrapilica. Now, the only reason I want 1 copy of the card is because, honestly, it's pretty much the same monster as Ritual Beast Tamer Lara, and it has the exact same effect as Lara. When this card is normal summoned or pendulum summoned, you can special summon a Ritual Beast or Zephyr monster from your graveyard. It's basically the same effect, but the main reason I also put her in the deck is that if I use her in combination with Wen, in case if I don't have a Spiritual Beast in the graveyard, I can go for some rank 3 plays. And although you don't always go into Exceed or Synchros in this deck that much, I still like the addition as options for the deck to use. And that's it for Tamers. For the Spiritual Beast lineup, we want 3 copies of Spiritual Beast Cannahawk, the Gold Sarc of the deck. Nothing special, that's all you have to know. 3 copies of Ritual Beast Rempengu. This card is basically the Foolish Spiral of the deck. And the effect is that you target 1 Ritual Beast in your extra deck, you send it you banish it from play, and then you get to send 1 Ritual Beast monster that's the same type as that monster to the graveyard. When you combine this effect with Dimensional Fissure, he also functions as like a ghost monster. Although not the same effect as Cannahawk, it still is a good effect, and is also a good opener with Ritual Beast Tamer Elder. Now, originally I had this card up to 2, but the reason I put in an extra 1 is because of the new Tamer we add into the deck, which I mentioned is the Pendulum monster. And also because of Ulti-Guy Apelio, so that means we can send both of them to the grave, banish them both, and we get to send a Psychic type monster to the graveyard, which in this case is the Tamers, which is really good with them, and that is really good because that makes Ambush a much more alive trap card. And next up, we want 2 Spiritual Beast Apelio. I honestly don't think he's worth running the 3. I think he's more of a staple 2 in the deck, but he is a really useful card to not only open up, not only is he a really good late game to push for the OTK, he's also really useful to fill up your ban zone so you can continue your Cannahawk loops over and over again. And last card is Spiritual Beast Pettlephin. Now, honestly, I really do like this monster, but I really wish its stats was completely different. If it was maybe 1,000 attack points but still at the same defense, I think this card would be a staple too, just because I really like its effect to get rid of a problematic card in the field. But as of right now, it's more of a staple one. But I still think it's a good card, but I will agree it's the worst of the Spiritual Beasts. And the final cards to support the engine, we want 2 Silpheed in the deck. Now, I'll be honest to a lot of people, I'm going to be taking these cards out for Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Now, you might be wondering why I would do that. Two reasons. Emergency Teleport, even though I still don't have the cards just yet, I want to use them because with this, I can combine a Ghost Ogre Survivor with one of the Spiritual Beasts, go for a Black Horse Dragon, and then I can destroy everything on the field, and if I have Ulti Pettlephin, my Ulti Pettlephin will field. But let's be honest, when you use, during your opponent's turn, you're mostly going to be using your traps to stun your opponent, and by the time you're all done, your back row is all empties. And it is a personal idea. You don't go into singles that much, but when you do go into it, it can really help you out. For monsters, for the spell cards, nothing much has changed. I only made a couple changes. I wrote 3 copies of Upstart Goblin. Since the deck does have some issues of trying to be consistent when you don't open up with the right hand, I decided to put Upstart to... I kept Upstart to not only keep the speed of the deck up, but also to help its consistency. And I wrote 3 copies of Mystical Space... Oh, wait, do I have... No, I don't. 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. And for the staple of one-ofs, I won 1 Virtual Beast Bond. Originally, I said I wanted to put this to 2 when we get out to Apelio, but I find that it's too cloggy to it, so I kept it in 1 for that. Then I won 1 Pokemon, 1 Dimensional Fissure, 1 copy of Gold Sarc, and finally, 1 copy of Raigeki. You might be wondering what happened to the Foolish Bear of the deck. Honestly, I took out Foolish Bear, because, to be honest, I don't really think it's not that good in the Virtual Beast deck anymore. Yes, if you open up with Lara, the other new Tamer, it can be pretty good for that, but outside of that, it becomes a dead card late game, and it just really has no purpose in the deck. So I'd rather replace it with Raigeki. And yes, people, this is the same Raigeki I use in my Synchron deck, and it's the only copy of Raigeki I own. So unfortunately, it's that. Now, if there is 2 cards I could potentially maybe take out for the 2 emergency teleports in the deck, I'm thinking maybe Microcosmos and 1 copy of MST and make them mostly side deck cards in case if there's a situation where I definitely do need them. Still good cards, but I feel D-Fish is much better just because it's faster and it's as good as Microcosmos. And for the trap card lineup, we want 3 copies of Virtual Beast Steeds. He's no explanation, Fire Like of the deck. 2 copies of Virtual Beast Ambush. I have been testing this out 3 with the new support, but honestly I still feel it's too cloggy at 3. I would rather have this at 2 so I can use them late game. 2 copies of Mirror Force. Again, we want to also stun the opponent without relying so much on Steeds, so we have Mirror Force just in case if they get rid of your Steeds, you have Mirror Force as a backup card, so I like it. 2 copies of Fiendish Chain. I like this a bit better than Breakthrough Skill because I want to protect my Spiritual Beast and Ritual Beast monsters so I can go for my plays as much as possible. And I like its effect that it can prevent it from attacking, so that's good. Staples is Solid Warning and 1 Macrocosmos. I like Solid Warning in the deck as a main deck card. Not only does it help me get over some big pesky monsters on the field that could potentially screw up my plays, I like it because there are some cards that can easily shut this deck down. Which in this case is going to be Denku Seka. And that card can easily stop the deck if you do not have a Solid Warning. True, you have some cards like Effect stuff, but honestly that card usually doesn't really help too much. And now for the extra deck, I'm going to start off with the Exceed monsters of the deck first. So to start off with the rank 3s, I run Live of the Sea Dragon and 1 Totem Bird. Live of the Sea Dragon is really useful in case if I'm in a situation where I cannot go for Beast play, and if instead I can go for probably the rank level 3 Tamer that I have, special summon a one from the graveyard, and I could go into this card in case if I want to special and Spiritual Beast and use its effect, or I can go into Tournament Butter in case if I want to play in the defense. Now both cards are pretty useful in some situations. This card's useful in case you want to make some more plays. Tournament Butter is good if you want to go into defense and negate some cards. This card's good for stunning because you can detach 2 Exceeds to negate a spell or trap effect. And that's really useful in case if you have Microcosmos, because now your Exceed materials go to the bash zone, and since the deck relies on getting bashed a lot, it's a good plus for you. And for the rank 4s, I only run 3 in this deck. 1 Rhapsody Berserk. I like this a bit in this deck because it helps get rid of some cards in the opponent's graveyard that they may need later on, so it's good to get rid of that. 1 number 101 and 1 Lightning Shidori. No explanation for that. For the for the Spiritual Beast, I pretty much kept it mostly the same lineup as I saw in my last deck profile, which in this case, I kept the Ulti Cannahawk at 3, I kept the Ulti Apelio at 3, and I kept Ulti Pettlephin at 2. And the final addition to the family, we want 2 Ritual Beast, Ulti, Guy Apelio. This card is pretty much your MVP win condition of the deck. If you summon this card, you can continue your Ulti con hot bloops. As long as your opponent does not have anything to stop Ulti Guy Apelio, this card is not only a huge threat that can push for your Ulti Ks easier, but it also is a huge defensive monster that is super hard to get rid of. And I also want to point out, I have went to my locals using these new cards. Again, this was before I got rid of Foolish Bear and replaced with Raigeki. Although I did lose the first game 2-0 due to the CROS deck, I won the rest of the games mostly because this card has helped me get through tight situations. It's a good save condition card, and it can really help you push for OTK. And for the side deck, now again, this side deck has been changed right after the tournament thing was over. So for side deck, I want 2 effects. 1 copy is for my Synchron deck, because I don't have an extra copy of it. I do have 2 in my side deck, but I actually pulled 1 from the Fiendish collection, so hey, might as well. Anyway, I want to because I do want to have, if I'm playing against a deck like Citadel, those who have a huge tendency of mostly using monster effects a lot, I would rather use Effect Veiler just in case if they Night Beam my chain away. I have this as a backup card. 1 copy of XC, don't have a second one, so I will put 2 copies of RFX Lancia, really good against both the Ritual Beast and the Infernoid matchup. And then we want 2 copies of Flying Sea against either Burning Abyss or Satellar Knight, so we can stop them from going for their plays. And for the spell card lineup, I only want 2 spells in this deck, 1 Book of Eclipse, and 1 copy of Shared Ride. And I'll be honest to a lot of people, I may honestly take out Book of Eclipse for another Shared Ride. Although Book of Eclipse is pretty useful to stop your opponent from OTKing you, and prevent them from going for other plays, I would much rather use Shared Ride because that allows me to get pluses when my opponent searches, and let's be honest, most decks in the game pretty much search regardless. In the trap cards, we want 2 Mind Crush. This is mostly really good. It's again, like Shared Ride, good against most of the decks in the game, but it's mostly good against, but it's mostly a really good card against Necros. And last 2 cards, we want 1 Debunk and 1 Mind Drain. I really do like the addition of Debunk because it's a counter trap and it pretty much allows me to negate a monster effect from the graveyard banish in hand, and I could simply banish it from places we can't use it again later in the game. But honestly, I kind of like Mind Drain a little bit more, although it hurts you if you use something like Maxi Flights. But it is useful against an opponent's deck who also use a lot of hand traps, such as, again, really good against Necros in case if they go hand trap effect or not. And final 2 cards is 1 Torrential Tribute, just in case if we do need this card. But again, I may take it out for another Shadow Eye, and 1 copy of Soul Drain. Soul Drain, in my personal opinion, is probably one of the best side deck cards in this deck. For this deck, because not only do none of your Ritual Beasts have effects that activate in the bench or graveyard, it's also good against most of the decks in the game because a lot of them have effects that activate in the graveyard bench. So, and thanks to Soul Drain, it hurts mostly your opponent, but it does not hurt you. And I really, really do like that. And I think it's a really good side deck card for the deck. So that is it, everyone, for the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what your personal thoughts about this deck and some of the changes I'm going to be making to the deck. And also, just in case, if so, you want to see the deck list a little bit faster, I will leave the deck list down below in the description of the video of what it could potentially be when I get the rest of the cards for it. So without further ado, everyone, thank you for watching. Leave a like if you like this video, and let me know your personal thoughts on the deck. This is Ryan Says 4, and we're signing out.